Joshua Ward's mansion stands as a testament to time, its brick facade exuding an air of elegance that belies the dark history buried beneath its foundations. Built in the mid-1780s, it is a beautiful residence, but the land it occupies is steeped in tales of horror and retribution. The notorious Sheriff George Corwin, known as the Strangler, once ruled these grounds with an iron fist, his brutal interrogation methods and execution of innocent lives casting a long shadow over the area. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the mansion, whispers of the past seemed to swirl through the air. Many locals avoided the area after dark, sharing ghost stories that chilled even the most hardened souls. According to legend, the spirits of those wronged by Corwin's cruelty still roamed, seeking justice or perhaps a semblance of peace. One evening, a curious young woman named Lily, intrigued by the tales, decided to explore the mansion. She was drawn not just by the history but also by a strange, almost magnetic pull she felt toward the site. Armed with her camera and a notepad, she hoped to capture the stories and perhaps encounter a ghostly presence herself. As she approached the house, the atmosphere shifted. The air felt charged, electric with energy that hinted at something otherworldly. Lily stepped inside, the heavy wooden door creaking ominously behind her. The interior was as grand as she had imagined. High ceilings, intricate woodwork, and dimly lit rooms that seemed to whisper secrets. Exploring the first floor, she felt a chill race down her spine. It was as if the very walls absorbed the anguish that had taken place here. She paused in the parlor, taking in the antique furnishings, when suddenly, a door slammed shut in an adjacent room. Heart pounding, she instinctively moved toward the sound. Pushing open the door, she found herself in a dimly lit corridor. Shadows danced along the walls, and she felt a presence, an unseen force that made the hairs on her neck stand on end. "Hello," she called, her voice echoing slightly. "Is anyone here?" No answer came, but she sensed she was not alone. As she ventured deeper into the house, she felt the air grow colder. In the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement, a figure darting past the end of the hallway. She turned quickly, but found only darkness. Determined not to be scared off, Lily continued her exploration, climbing the grand staircase that creaked underfoot. She reached the second floor and found herself drawn to a room at the end of the hallway. The door was ajar, and a soft light seemed to emanate from within. Pushing the door open, she gasped. The room was filled with an otherworldly glow, and in the center stood a woman with wild black hair, her features etched with sorrow and rage. Lily recognized her instantly from the stories. The ghost of a woman wronged by Corwin, perhaps one of the victims of the witch trials. "Why do you disturb my rest?" the apparition asked, her voice a haunting melody laced with pain. I'm here to listen," Lily stammered, feeling both frightened and compelled to speak. "I want to understand what happened here." The spirit's gaze softened slightly. "You seek the truth, but the truth is buried in blood and betrayal. Corwin's darkness lingers, even in death." As she spoke, the air thickened with tension, and the temperature plummeted further. Lily could feel the weight of history pressing down on her. "What can I do to help?" she asked, her voice steadying. The ghost raised a finger, pointing toward a shadow that flickered in the corner of the room. "He is here. He does not rest, and his anger feeds the darkness." Suddenly, a deep, guttural voice echoed through the room. "Leave this place, or suffer the consequences." It was Sheriff Corwin's spirit, his presence palpable and oppressive. The walls seemed to pulse with his fury, and Lily felt an overwhelming sense of dread. But rather than flee, Lily stood her ground. "You cannot silence the truth any longer," she shouted, her voice rising in defiance. "The stories of the innocent will be heard." At her words, the air crackled with energy. The ghostly woman smiled faintly, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You have a fire in you, child. Use it to unearth the truth. Let others know what happened here." With that, the room erupted into chaos. The spirits of the past surged around Lily, their voices rising in a cacophony of anguish and anger. She could hear the cries of the innocent, the echoes of the tortured, and among them, the resolute spirit of Giles Corey, the man pressed to death for refusing to plead. "Remember us," his voice called out, mingling with the others. Lily felt a surge of purpose. "I will," she vowed, feeling the strength of the spirits empowering her. "I'll tell your stories. I'll make sure you are not forgotten." In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The angry energy that had filled the room began to wane, replaced by a sense of calm. Corwin's spirit let out a howl of frustration before fading into the shadows, leaving behind an echo of despair. The ghost of the woman with wild black hair lingered for a moment longer, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, before dissipating into a gentle mist. As the room returned to its stillness, Lily felt a profound sense of relief wash over her. She had connected with the spirits of the past, and she was determined to honor their memories. With a renewed sense of purpose, she stepped back into the hallway, ready to document everything she had experienced. Over the next few weeks, Lily poured herself into her research, uncovering the dark history of Sheriff George Corwin and the countless lives affected by the witch trials. She interviewed historians, spoke with descendants of victims, and gathered oral histories from local residents. Each story she collected added depth and richness to the narrative, and she began to weave them together into a powerful account of the injustices that had occurred. Eventually, she published her findings in a book titled Echoes of the Past, The Untold Stories of Salem's Witch Trials. The book resonated with readers, sparking discussions about history, justice, and the importance of remembering those who had suffered. As word spread about her work, interest in Joshua Ward's house grew. Tours were organized, focusing not only on the architecture but on the chilling stories that the walls had witnessed. People came to honor the spirits and reflect on the lessons of the past. On the anniversary of the witch trials, Lily held a special event at the mansion. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as people gathered to share stories and light candles in memory of the victims. As twilight fell, the glow of the candles illuminated the house, creating an ambience of warmth and reverence. Standing before the crowd, Lily shared her journey and the stories of the spirits she had encountered. The haunting presence of the past felt tangible in the air, as if the very souls of the victims were listening, finally being acknowledged. As she concluded her speech, she felt a gentle breeze brush against her cheek, and for a moment, she could have sworn she saw the figures of the ghostly woman and Giles Corey standing among the crowd, their expressions filled with gratitude. In that moment, Lily understood the profound impact of her work. She had not only given voice to the silenced, but had also created a space for healing, reflection, and understanding. The spirits of the past were no longer confined to the shadows. They were part of a living narrative, interwoven into the fabric of the community. Joshua Ward's house, once a site of fear and darkness, had transformed into a beacon of hope and remembrance. The echoes of the past had been heard, and in sharing their stories, Lily had forged a connection that bridged the gap between history and the present. The spirits could finally rest, knowing their truths were honored and their legacies would live on. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As the candlelight flickered softly in the gathering dusk, Lily felt a swell of emotion as she looked out over the crowd. Faces illuminated by the warm glow held expressions of curiosity, compassion, and reverence. It was a gathering of souls united by a shared desire to honor those who had suffered at the hands of injustice. After her speech, the attendees were invited to share their own connections to the history of Salem. One by one, people stepped forward, recounting family stories passed down through generations, tales of ancestors who had been implicated in the trials or who had stood witness to the horror that unfolded. The air crackled with energy as each voice added another layer to the rich tapestry of history. Lily listened intently, her heart swelling with gratitude. She knew that every story shared was a thread in the larger narrative she sought to weave. Yet, amidst the warmth and camaraderie, she felt a strange shift in the atmosphere, a subtle chill that crept into the edges of the gathering. As the last story came to a close, a sudden gust of wind swept through the open area, extinguishing several candles and causing a collective gasp to ripple through the crowd. Shadows danced in the corners, and a heavy silence fell over the group. Lily glanced toward the mansion, feeling a tug at her intuition. "Everyone, let's light the candles again," she said, trying to restore the sense of calm. "We're honoring those who were lost. Their spirits are with us tonight." As they relit the candles, a sense of determination surged within her. She would not let fear overshadow the night. Just as the last candle flickered back to life, a soft voice echoed through the gathering. "Help us." It was barely a whisper, but it cut through the silence like a knife. Lily's heart raced. "Did anyone else hear that?" she asked, scanning the faces in the crowd. A few nodded, their eyes wide with surprise and intrigue. "I heard it," a woman spoke up, her voice trembling. It sounded like a plea. Lily felt the weight of those words. "We're here to listen," she called out, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "If there are spirits who need our help, we want to understand." A figure appeared at the edge of the gathering, almost translucent. It was the spirit of the woman with wild black hair, her expression a mix of urgency and desperation. "The darkness still lingers," she said, her voice rising above the wind. "Corwin's anger has not dissipated. He seeks to silence us again." Lily's pulse quickened. "What can we do? How can we help?" The spirit glanced around at the crowd, her gaze lingering on the flickering candles. "You must remember the stories. You must speak our names so that we may find peace. He cannot silence us if our truth lives on." Determined, Lily stepped forward. "Everyone, we need to honor the victims of the trials tonight. Let's call out their names together. Let's remember those who were lost." The crowd responded, some with hesitation, but soon enough, names began to fill the air. Giles Corey, Bridget Bishop, Rebecca Nurse, and so many others. As each name was spoken, the spirit grew brighter, and a palpable energy surged through the gathering. With each name, the air seemed to thrum with life. Lily felt a sense of connection, as if the spirits were drawing strength from their shared remembrance. The wind picked up, swirling around them like a protective embrace. Suddenly, a dark shadow loomed at the edge of the property, its form solidifying into a menacing figure. Sheriff Corwin stood there, his face twisted in rage, eyes gleaming with malice. "You dare speak their names?" he thundered, his voice resonating through the night. "You will pay for this insolence." But the crowd held firm, a unified front against the darkness. "We will not be silenced," Lily shouted back, her heart racing. "Your reign of terror is over." The spirit of the woman surged forward, standing bravely in front of Corwin's ghost. "You have no power here. The truth will be heard, and the innocent shall not be forgotten." The air crackled with tension as Corwin glared at the gathering, his form flickering as if struggling against the tide of energy that filled the space. "You think you can rewrite history?" he snarled. Lily stepped closer to the spirit, feeling the heat of determination rise within her. "History belongs to the ones who lived it. Your cruelty will be remembered as a warning, not as a legacy." The spirits of the victims began to materialize, joining the woman in a circle around Corwin. Their combined light pushed against his darkness, illuminating the gathering in a brilliant glow. The shadows that had loomed over the mansion for so long began to recede. As the struggle continued, Lily felt a rush of inspiration. "Everyone, hold hands," she cried. "Let's share our light." The crowd quickly formed a circle, their hands clasping tightly together. Together, they summoned their collective strength, channeling their love and remembrance into a powerful force. The light grew brighter, illuminating the space around them, pushing back against the shadows. Corwin's face twisted in anguish as the light enveloped him. "No!" he roared, his form flickering as if caught between realms. "You cannot do this." But the strength of the gathered souls was too great. With one final surge, they united their voices in a chorus of names echoing through the air like a powerful incantation. Giles Corey, Bridget Bishop, Rebecca Nurse. The air shimmered with energy, and Corwin's figure began to dissolve, his rage dissipating into the night. "You may have won this battle," he growled, his voice fading. "But I will never be forgotten." And just like that, he vanished, leaving behind a profound stillness. The spirits of the victims glowed brightly, their expressions transformed from sorrow to peace. As the last remnants of darkness faded away, a sense of relief washed over the gathering. The weight of centuries of anguish lifted, leaving only the warmth of connection and remembrance. Lily turned to the crowd, her heart soaring. "We did it. We honored their stories, and together we broke the silence." Applause erupted, filled with gratitude and triumph. The candles flickered softly in the breeze, casting a gentle light on the faces of those gathered. They had transformed the night from one of fear to one of celebration and healing. As the evening wore on, the spirits of the victims lingered, their presence a comforting warmth. Lily felt a deep sense of purpose swell within her, knowing that she had played a role in unearthing the truth and honoring the lives that had been lost. In the days that followed, the community's bond deepened. Inspired by their experience, more people began to share their stories and connect over their shared history. The annual gathering at Joshua Ward's house grew into a significant event, celebrating not only the memory of the past but also the strength of the community. Lily continued her research, now expanding her book into a series of articles and public talks, inviting others to join her in uncovering the truth. Each story she shared was met with curiosity and respect, bringing new voices into the conversation about justice and remembrance. As the next anniversary approached, she felt a familiar tug at her heart, knowing that the spirits of the past would be with her once more. This time, however, she felt their strength, not as shadows haunting the mansion, but as guides illuminating the path forward. Together with the community, she prepared for the gathering, planning to honor not only those who had been lost, but also the resilience of those who remained. The mansion, once a site of sorrow, had transformed into a sanctuary of hope, a place where stories were shared, truths were honored, and spirits could finally rest. And as the candles were lit once again, Lily stood at the center, ready to lead the gathering into a new chapter, one filled with light, connection, and an unwavering commitment to remember those who had suffered. With every name spoken, she felt the echoes of the past intertwining with the present, forever changing the narrative of the land where Joshua Ward's house now stood. As the evening of the annual gathering approached, anticipation filled the air. The community buzzed with excitement, eager to participate in a celebration that had transformed into a powerful ritual of remembrance and healing. Lily had organized a program that not only honored the spirits of the past but also fostered dialogue about justice and understanding. When the night finally arrived, the mansion stood resplendent under a blanket of stars. Candles lined the path, their warm light guiding attendees to the gathering space. Lily felt a sense of purpose as she greeted familiar faces and welcomed newcomers, sharing the stories that had shaped their collective experience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue across the sky, Lily stepped onto a small platform, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and reverence. She looked out at the crowd, a sea of eager faces illuminated by candlelight. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began, her voice steady. "We gather not only to remember those who suffered, but to celebrate the strength and resilience of our community. Together, we honor the stories of the past, and we ensure that the voices of the innocent are never silenced again." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and a hush fell over the crowd. Lily could feel the presence of the spirits surrounding them, their energy palpable and reassuring. She took a deep breath and began to share the stories she had gathered over the past year, the tales of bravery, injustice, and survival that wove through the fabric of their history. As she spoke each name, the crowd responded with respect, murmuring in acknowledgement. The energy in the air grew stronger, and Lily could sense the spirits of the victims joining in, their voices echoing through the night. When she finished, she invited others to share their stories. One by one, people stepped forward, recounting personal connections to the trials, weaving a rich tapestry of experiences that united them all. Each story added depth to the evening, reinforcing the idea that the past could inform their future. As the final speaker concluded, the atmosphere shifted once more. A soft, Cool breeze swept through the gathering, and Lily felt a familiar presence. The spirit of the woman with wild black hair emerged, her face radiant with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice ringing clear. "You have given us the gift of remembrance. Our stories will live on through you." Lily's heart swelled at the acknowledgement. "We will continue to share your stories, to ensure that you are never forgotten. You are part of us now, and we will carry your truth forward." At that moment, the spirits of the victims began to swirl around the gathering, their forms shimmering in the candlelight. Lily felt a profound sense of connection as the air filled with warmth and love, dispelling any remnants of darkness that had once lingered in the mansion. The crowd joined hands, forming a circle under the stars. Together, they lifted their voices in a heartfelt chant of names: Giles Corey, Bridget Bishop, Rebecca Nurse, and many others, each name resonating with power and clarity. As the final name echoed into the night, a wave of energy surged through the circle, and the spirits released a collective sigh of relief. In that moment, it felt as though the very essence of the victims had been set free, their stories woven into the fabric of the community forever. Lily stepped back, tears of joy streaming down her face. The heaviness that had once permeated the grounds had been replaced by a palpable lightness. The spirits of the past had found peace, and in their liberation, the community had forged an unbreakable bond. As the gathering began to wind down, people lingered, sharing laughter and stories, connecting in ways that had once seemed impossible. The mansion had transformed from a place of sorrow into a sanctuary of hope, a living testament to resilience, remembrance, and the power of community. In the years that followed, the annual gathering at Joshua Ward's house became a cherished tradition, drawing people from far and wide. Lily continued to share her research, expanding her book into a series of lectures and community workshops that explored themes of justice, healing, and the importance of remembrance. The spirits, now woven into the narrative of the living, became a source of inspiration for many. Art installations, plays, and memorials sprang up throughout Salem, each one paying tribute to the lives lost and the lessons learned. The town embraced its history, ensuring that the stories of the past would shape a brighter future. And every year, on that special night, as the candles were lit and the names were spoken, Lily would stand before the crowd, feeling the warmth of the spirits surrounding her. She knew they were there, watching over them, their legacy forever intertwined with the living. In honoring the past, the community had not only preserved the truth, but had also forged a path toward healing. The echoes of the victims would continue to resonate, reminding everyone of the importance of justice, compassion, and the enduring power of shared stories. As the final candle flickered in the cool night air, Lily smiled, knowing that the spirits had found their peace, and in doing so, they had illuminated the way for generations to come. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.